Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Swiffle here, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to obtain every single admin rod inside of FISCH. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you guys do smash that like button and hit that subscribe button and hype up the video, as I would really appreciate it and does help out the channel. But yeah, let's not waste no more time and get directly into this video. Alright guys, now before we end up getting into how we're going to end up getting every rod, I'm going to show you how you can even get to the part where you can end up getting all the rods. So basically, you have to end up heading down here into the crystal cave, which is inside of the depths. And once you are here, you basically just have to complete this little mini obby. I mean, it's not an obby, but this water is going to end up killing you. And basically, you're going to want to end up going up here to this pedestal. Now, you're going to want to insert yourself a chaotic relic, which is going to end up opening the underground music venue. Now, this is where we're going to end up getting 6 out of 7 of our admin rods. Get it, 6, 7. But anyways, basically, you're going to end up getting 6 of the admin rods down here in the underground music venue. Once you are here, we can end up going down and doing all these quests. So we're going to end up getting right into the quest. Alright, guys. So for quest number 1, we're going to be going for the Wing Ripper, which is going to be a stage 11 rod. One of the best admin rods you can end up getting inside of the game. So basically, you're going to end up talking to Goth over here. He's going to be sitting in this corner by all of these Bloxy Colas. And basically, we're going to end up doing his quest. So let's go ahead and get into the quest. Alright, guys. So for the first quest we're going to end up having to do, we're going to have to end up catching a shiny, sparkling, darkened sardine. Now, what they end up recommending you use is going to be the Destiny rod, which is a really good rod for catching shiny stuff. Also, stuff like the shiny totem will definitely help when catching this rod. And you're going to want to end up fishing basically in the open ocean. So just go out in the middle of the ocean. I'm going to just go over here to the daily shop thing. You can end up fishing over here, basically just trying to catch yourself this sardine. It is a very rare drop to end up getting, and you're going to want to end up using garbage because you can end up getting other stuff with that rod. But yeah, just use garbage, get yourself the Noir Destiny rod for the best chance of getting the shiny, sparkling, darkened sardine, and then you can end up moving on to the next quest. That's going to be the first quest. And alright guys, so for the next quest, basically what you end up having to do is you're going to have to catch yourself a blessed exalted relic. Okay, so pretty much what you're going to want to end up doing is, again, going to the ocean or going wherever you want to end up going, and you're going to want to have yourself something like the Seraphic rod or the Axe of Rose, which is another admin rod. But basically, you have to end up going over here to the ocean and pretty much just fishing until you end up getting this. Now, I ain't gonna lie, the exalted relic itself is already a difficult catch because it's like a 1 in 2,000 chance or something like that. Plus, the blessed enchant is a very rare drop to end up getting. So honestly, if you can, I'd say it's much better just to trade for the relic. I'm not gonna lie to you, it probably is, but people are overpricing anyways. But yeah, just go ahead, make sure you fish for this. It's a very difficult drop, but yeah, just go ahead and do that. And then once you end up completing this quest, you're gonna be rewarded with the moon title. So yeah, it's a pretty cool title, and then we can end up moving on to the final quest. Alright guys, now for the final quest, you have to end up catching the emoji fish. Now this is a very rare drop, as this is only a 1 in 100,000 chance. Now honestly, your best bet is to either trade for these fish personally, or you're just gonna want to wait until an admin event, and then you're gonna want to use like a low resilience rod, like the scavenger rod. It's a really good rod you can end up using during the admin event. But honestly, if you're going for this rod, literally, I wouldn't recommend going for this rod unless you wait for the admin event, or just trade for it or something. But yeah, once you end up doing that, you're going to be rewarded with the Wing Ripper, which is probably one of the best rods inside of the entire game. But yeah, we can end up moving on to the next admin rod we're going to end up going over. Alright guys, now the next rod we're going to end up going after is going to be the Dustwire rod. I mean, this is a very easy rod to end up getting. So basically, you're going to end up going over to Hollow, and you're going to want to end up talking to him and starting his quest line. He has a very easy quest line. All you're really going to end up doing is you're going to end up catching a catfish and then buying the guitar off of him. So yeah, basically we have to end up going over to Mushgrove, so that's where we're going to end up heading over. Alright guys, now once you are over at Mushgrove Swamp, basically you're just going to want to fish here until you end up catching a catfish. It's a pretty easy fish to end up catching. I'm not going to fish right now because I've already caught it multiple times, but yeah, you're going to want to fish here, and then you're going to end up catching a catfish. Really easy fish. And once you guys do end up catching that catfish, just hand it over to Hollow, and once you end up doing that, he'll ask to basically you'll be able to buy the guitar for 7.5 million, which is pretty cheap for these admin rods. So yeah, you're going to want to get this, and this is important for another rod later, the Polaris Serenade, but we're going to end up moving on. Alright guys, so for the next rod, we're going to end up going for the test rod, which is probably one of the easiest admin rods to end up getting. So basically what you're going to end up wanting to do is you're going to end up heading over to Buildaroo. You'll end up finding Buildaroo right here. You're going to want to do her quest line. Now, this is a very easy quest line. All you have to end up doing is catching a lightning largemouth bass. Okay, so basically we're going to end up heading over to Moosewood. That's where you're going to end up finding this bass, and you're going to end up needing the Zeus rod. As you guys can see, I'm going to pull it up right here. You're going to want to end up getting yourself this rod. Once you end up getting the Zeus rod, all you're going to want to end up doing is just fishing at Moosewood until you catch this large mouth bass with lightning. It is a very easy task to end up doing. Once you end up doing that, you could end up heading back to her and obtaining the rod. It is honestly, out of all the admin rods, it's probably the worst one, and if you have the Zeus rod, I wouldn't even bother going for it, to be honest. But if you're a collector, it's a pretty nice collector item to end up having. And now we can end up moving on to the next rod. Alright guys, so for the next rod, we're gonna end up having the Polaris Serenade, which is probably, not even probably, is the best rod in the entire game. So yeah, basically for this rod, you're gonna want to end up heading over to Nick right here. As you guys can see, you'll see him sitting down. You're gonna want to end up talking to him. Now you're gonna end up having to do some of the most difficult quests pretty much in the game to end up getting this rod. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Alright guys, now basically in order to do these quests, the first thing you're going to want to end up having is the Dustwire. I almost forgot to mention this, but make sure you have this rod. I ended up showing y'all how to get this earlier. Make sure you have Invincible on it, and once you end up getting that, pretty much we're going to have to do the first quest, which is going to be to collect the Serene String. Okay, so we're going to end up doing is heading down here to the Desolate Deep, which is going to be underwater by the little buoy, and pretty much you're just going to want to fish here until you end up getting the string. It's not a difficult thing to catch. I think out of all the quests, it's probably the easiest one, but make sure you have something like garbage bait equipped. And yeah, I mean, Serene, it's a very rare mutation, so you might be here for like maybe a few hours or so, but yeah, you're just gonna want to go ahead and stay down here until you end up collecting yourself the Serene String, and then you can end up going back and turning the Serene String into Nick, and then you'll end up getting 5 Aurora Totems, and that's definitely gonna be useful for later. So yeah, make sure you do that, and we can end up moving on. Alright guys, now moving on to quest 2 for this rod. Basically you're gonna end up heading over here to the brine pool, and you're just gonna want to end up fishing over here with your Invincible Dustwire. Now I ain't gonna lie, you have to end up catching yourself a Serene Spectral Serpent, and this is a very rare drop. On top of that, getting Serene is like a 2% chance, so you're gonna be here for a little minute. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I'm not gonna lie, on my main account this took me literally days to end up catching. So yeah, I mean, this is a very rare drop. Make sure you have Aurora Borealis popped and stuff. Make sure you have anything that ends up boosting your luck up, and you're gonna want to be here forever. I mean, yeah, I haven't really went for this rod on my alt account that I'm playing on right now, but yeah, it's a very rare drop. Honestly, your best bet personally is just trading for this fish. I'm not gonna lie to you, like, don't even stress yourself out with the days of sitting here, or maybe a couple hours if you're lucky. But yeah, honestly, if you can, try and trade for it. If not, then you have to sit here and get the Serene Spectral Serpent, and once you do end up doing that, you can end up turning this back into Nick, and then you'll end up getting yourself 3 sparkling totems and 3 shiny totems, which is going to be really good. And once you end up doing that, you can simply buy the rod for him for $50 million, and then you're going to end up having yourself the best rod inside the entire game, which is going to be the Polaris Serenade. And now we can end up moving on to the next rod. Alright guys, the next rod we're going to end up obtaining is going to be the Eardrum rod, which is going to be a stage 10 rod. So basically what we're going to end up wanting to do is we're going to end up heading back down here. We're going to end up talking to Holiday right here. Now he's going to end up giving you a couple quests which are pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie, they're not the most difficult quests to end up doing, so let's go ahead and get directly into the quest. Guys, so for the first quest of the Eardrum quest, what you're going to want to end up having to do is you're going to have to catch yourself an Atlantean Goblin Shark. Okay, so you have to head down to the depths, and you're going to want to make sure you end up equipping the Trident rod. Once you do have the Trident rod, basically you're just going to want to fish down in the depths until you end up getting this fish. It's a pretty easy fish to end up obtaining, and Atlantean trait isn't too hard. So yeah, this is a pretty easy quest to end up doing. And then once you end up catching the Goblin Shark, you can end up going back to Holiday, turning this in, and then you'll be rewarded with 100 snare bait. Okay, so just go ahead, do that, catch the fish, turn it in, get 100 snare bait, and we can end up moving on to the second quest. Alright guys, for the next quest, we're going to end up catching the Carrot Tacker to Renuga, or however you say this fish's name, and this is going to end up being an exotic fish. So what you're going to end up needing is the Carrot Rod, which you can end up getting at Carrot Garden, and pretty much you're just going to want to end up fishing here at Sunstone Island. As you guys can see, I'm over here at Sunstone Island. You're going to want to fish here with the best bait you can end up getting until you end up getting this fish. Now I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty difficult quest because you already just have a 5% chance of getting the carrot thing, right? And then plus this fish just being an exotic fish, this is a pretty rare drop to end up getting. So yeah, you're just gonna want to sit here and grind for this fish. I mean, it's not a hard fish to catch though, because you know it's over here at Sunstone Island. So yeah, make sure you have you guys some decent baits, go over here, and then you're just gonna want to fish until you end up getting this rod right here. I mean, it's pretty difficult to end up catching, but once you do end up catching it, you could end up going back to Holiday and turning this in, and then you will end up getting the little guy lantern, as you guys can end up seeing right here. The little guy lantern, you'll end up getting that, and then you can end up moving on to quest number 3. Alright guys, so for this last quest, basically you're gonna end up having to head down to the Abyssal Zenith, and once you have ended up making your way to the Abyssal Zenith, pretty much you have to end up catching the crowned anglerfish, which is a very rare exotic fish you can end up catching, and then you have to have the Zeus rod equipped. basically with the Zeus rod, you're gonna end up having a 10% chance of getting the storm little mutation thing. And once you do end up doing that, you have to get charred on your crowned anglerfish. And once you do end up catching a crowned anglerfish that has been charred, you can end up heading back down here to the underground venue where we're at right now, and then you can end up turning all of these quests into the to holiday right here. Once you end up turning in all of these quests, you'll end up being rewarded with the Eardrum rod, which is a very good rod. And yeah, it's one of the best stage 10 rods inside of the entire game, and will get you through the mid game. So yeah, it's not too crazy of a quest line, but it's gonna take you a little bit of grinding. I think it's easier than some of the other ones. So yeah, definitely go for this rod if you can. And it's an okay rod. I mean, it's not the best, but yeah, it's decent for mid game. So we can end up moving on to the next rod. All right, guys. So for the next rod we're gonna end up going for is going to be the Tryhard rod, which is a brand new admin rod. It's probably, I think it's the most recent admin rod inside of the entire game. So what you're gonna want to end up doing is you're gonna have to end up climbing the volcano, which is very easy to end up climbing up. This is gonna be located at Roslet Base. So just make your way over to Roslet and then end up completing this this little volcano thing. It's very easy. Just have yourself a glider or something. It's gonna breeze past it. And once you do end up doing that, to your right, you're gonna end up finding the NPC that you're gonna end up having to talk to for this ride. Okay, so as you guys can see, you're gonna end up seeing Row Red right here, and you're gonna want to have to end up doing his quest. Okay, so you can end up either buying the rod or doing the quest. Now, to end up buying the rod, it's gonna be $1 billion. Okay, so yeah, as you guys can see, that's most of you guys probably aren't gonna end up wanting to buy that, but yeah, we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna have to do his quest, and now I'm gonna end up showing you what his quests are. All right, guys. So for the first quest, basically what you're gonna end up having to do is you're gonna have to achieve 10 perfect catches in a row with the flimsy rod. So your best bet for this quest, honestly, is literally just to head over to Moosewood, and you're just gonna have to perfect catch 10 fishes in a row. So what that's gonna end up meaning is you're gonna have to just go ahead and fish up the quest. I believe you can use bait too. Honestly, your best bet is to use the best bait you can end up using, and basically you have to perfect catch, so like it cannot go off the rod once. You have to do this 10 times in a row. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty difficult. Like, I know I'm making it look easy right here, but you have to basically just end up catching 10 of these in a row. So yeah, as you guys can see, I think you have to reel it in perfect as well, so make sure you're doing that as well. And yeah, I mean, like, it's not horrible, but just make sure you're locked in pretty much, okay? Because these fishes, they can be pretty sporadic. But yeah, 10 perfect catches in a row, and then you'll end up being rewarded with it. And I definitely messed up right there, but you're gonna end up being rewarded with 50,000 XP for completing the true Tryhard quest. We can end up moving up to part 2. Now for part 2, basically what you're gonna want to end up having to do is you have to perfect cast plus perfect catch. So this is where you have to perfect cast them and perfect catch 25 fish in a row, which is absolutely insane. I'm not gonna lie, this is a very difficult quest. So you have to perfect catch them, perfect cast them, and on top of that you have to perfect catch them. So yeah, as you guys can see, just go ahead, shake it up, do the little shake method that I'm doing right now, and you have to perfect catch them as well. So I already messed up so that my counter would have reset right here. So yeah, you have to be really locked in and end up doing this. And then once you end up doing this, you're going to be rewarded with 100 Tryhard bait. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be a very difficult quest to end up doing, and then you can end up moving on to quest 3. Now for quest 3, you have to either catch a Megalodon or the Kraken with the invincible Tryhard flimsy rod. So you have to get invincible on your flimsy rod with the exotic relics, and on top of that you have to get a cosmic relic, which already itself is the most difficult relic to end up obtaining. Once you end up doing that, you're gonna basically combine them both, and you're gonna need to get yourself an invincible Tryhard flimsy rod. Now once you do end up doing that, you have to end up using the Tryhard worm bait, which you ended up getting for part 2, and then you have to end up catching a Megalodon or Kraken on top of that, which is a very difficult catch. Once you end up doing that, which is a lot of stuff, you're going to end up being rewarded with the Tryhard rod. Now I'm not gonna lie, this is a very difficult rod to end up doing. Like, the last 2 quests of this rod are absolutely insane, but honestly, to end up skipping over all that, I would 1,000,000% end up recommend it. And I know this sounds crazy, but just spend the billion. Like, if you really want the rod that bad, just spend the billion. Now personally, I do think this is a better rod than the Polaris Serenade in my opinion, because if you get the Tryhard enchant, you have 100% chance of catching fishes, which is an absolutely insane passive ability. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a really good passive ability, just like being able to catch fishes all the time. But like, this rod is an absolute hassle to get. Like, just doing what you have to do to get this rod is an absolute hassle. So if you can drop the billion, and then if you could get yourself a cosmic enchant relic to end up getting it, it's a very insane rod. Like, personally, I don't have this rod, but yeah, I mean, it's a very good rod to end up having, and it's definitely going to end up carrying you through the whole game. So Yeah, and yeah, guys, that's gonna end up wrapping up this video. I hope you guys did end up enjoying. This is every single admin rod you can end up obtaining inside of the game. So there are quite a lot of them, I'm not gonna lie, and some of them are way more difficult. But yeah, I definitely would recommend going for the Polaris Serenade and the Dustwire. Personally, as my personal opinion of what rods you should end up going for. But yeah, a bunch of rods you can end up getting, and that's gonna end up wrapping up this video. I hope you guys did end up enjoying. It's your boy Swoople here. I'm out. Make sure you guys subscribe for more content. Bye.